Number 36 is the oldest locomotive preserved in Ireland, and the second surviving Bury locomotive in preservation, the other, of course, being Old Copperknob. The Liverpool-based Clarence foundry of Bury, Curtis and Kennedy was once Britain's biggest and perhaps best equipped engineering works. Founded in 1826 by Edward Bury, in its heyday in the late 1840s, it was capable of building one locomotive and tender per week, and this was in addition to the flourishing marine side of the business, which was capable of producing iron-hulled steamships. The foundry also produced rails, point turntables, and ready-to-run goods wagons. In other words, it was capable of producing a complete railway package straight out of the box. Sadly, this mighty empire came crashing down in 1851, largely as a result of unpaid debts. The Bury locomotive was defined through the use of a cylindrical dome-topped outer firebox with an inner firebox of similar shape, and through the use of wrought iron bar frames, and as such it stood in direct contrast and competition to the Stephenson locomotive of the period, which used a rectangular inner firebox and outside wood and iron sandwich frames. Number 36 was delivered in the January of 1848 at a cost of £1,955 to the 5 feet 3 inch gauge Great Southern and Western Railway of Ireland. Not to be confused, of course, with the Southern Railway of Northern Ireland. The locomotive worked passenger trains between Dublin and Cork. Originally numbered 42, it was later renumbered 36 and was withdrawn in 1874, having run 487,919 miles in a quarter of a century of service. Number 36 is a classic Bury locomotive. It has wrought iron bar frames with inside bearings and outside hand-forged wrought iron wheels, but it is unusual for a Bury locomotive in being a six-wheeler. Famously, Edward Bury was a champion of the four-wheeler, even when it became apparent something larger was needed, and even after the terrible disaster at Meudon in France. Eventually, he had to bow to the inevitable and build six-wheeled locomotive. The leading wheels measure 4 feet 2 inches in diameter or 1.26 metres. The trailing wheels are 3 feet diameter or 91 centimetres, and the pair of driving wheels are 5 feet 8 inches or 1.7 metres in diameter. The wheels are wrought iron with T-shaped spokes, which when fitted together form part of the rim. The hub, which includes a balance weight on the driving wheels, is cast iron and was poured around the spokes which had been laid in a casting box. The wheels are then hooped in wrought iron, and finally a steel tyre with a flange was secured. The inside cylinders measure 14 by 20 inches or 35.6 centimetres by 50.8 centimetres. The boiler barrel and the outer firebox are likely to be the originals. The boiler barrel is 12 feet long and 3 feet 6 inches in diameter. It contains 119 2 1/8 or 54 millimetre outside diameter iron tubes. The inner firebox is made from copper. It is of riveted construction and, whilst retaining its original D-plan, lacks the domed crown. The crown is supported with 4 cast iron girder stays and there are 4 wrought iron sling stays. It is possibly a replacement, as Bury, Curtis and Kennedy preferred using iron fireboxes with a domed top and fire welded together. Edward Bury correctly stated that a welded firebox meant there was only single thickness of metal exposed to the heat of the fire, that there would be no problem with differential expansion between the plates and angle irons, and finally there would be no troublesome right-angled corners. He also thought that cylindrical dome-topped fireboxes did not require any staying, other than a sling stay to support the firebox crown. Robert Stephenson, however, thought this was inherently unsafe. Unusually, the drawbar pin was riveted to the outer firebox, putting the load not through the frame, but instead through the boiler. Clearly on number 36, this failed in service, as a large patch on the firebox wrapper testifies. The drawbar was then modified so that a curved wrought iron bar wraps around the rear of the firebox between the main frame members, which supports the drawbar pin. The footplate has also been strengthened to further support the drawbar pin. Weight in working order was 22 tons 1900 weight. Stevenson link valve gear was used, and boiler pressure was 80 psi or 5.5 bar. Tractive effort at 85% was 4,250 pounds, and on one occasion, number 36 is believed to hit a maximum speed of 60 miles per hour, albeit going downhill. After retirement, number 36 was displayed on a plinth inside the railway works in Dublin. In 1902 it was quote-unquote restored and moved to Cork Motive Power Depot, but was then back in Dublin in 1908. Finally in 1950 it was put on display on Kent Station, Cork, where it can be seen to this day. I hope you have enjoyed this video on number 36, the oldest surviving locomotive in Ireland, and if you have, please like, share and subscribe and leave a comment below. I'd like to thank Lauren Gradwell for the use of her photographs in making this video possible. Thanks also to Station Master Tier patrons Gianluberto Lore and Joshua Anderson. And I look forwards to seeing you all next time on Rail Story.